class. How is everyone today? I'm the only person here. Oh yeah, let's fix that. Hang on. No. We're not doing that. Well, why not? It'll feel like we're in a real classroom. It will be too hard for Aditya to edit into the video. Yeah, you're probably right. What a loser. He can't even follow a simple task. Alright, let's get on with this lesson, shall we? So today, we're going to be learning the chain rule. So what you must always consider before applying this rule is that it can only be used with differentiable and composite functions. And the formula for it is derivative of f of g of x equals f prime of g of x multiplied by g prime of x. What? Composite functions? We already learned this in algebra. We don't need to learn this again. But the chain rule is used for deriving these functions. You have not learned that yet. Oh. Basically, what this means is that you are multiplying the derivative outside of the function with respect to x by the derivative inside the function. I'm about to lose my respect for this class. What was that? Nothing. Another way of writing f prime of g of x multiplied by g prime of x is dof multiplied by dif. Derivative outside the function multiplied by derivative inside the function. So let's take this question for example. 2x minus 1 squared. Now how would you derive that? Why can't you just bring the exponent from the right and multiply it by the coefficient and then just subtract 1 from the exponent to get the answer?
What?
Actually, that will not work because then you would result in 2 multiplied by 2x minus 1, which is the incorrect answer. Well then how else would you derive it? You have to use this formula, which basically means since you derive outside the function first, that's 2, you bring that down here, 2 multiplied by 2x minus 1, because you have to show respect to x, and then you derive inside the function, which is 2, because derivative of 2x is 2 and 1 is a constant, so it crosses out to 0. What does respect mean? Well, it's something you could learn first of all. Oh wait, you're talking about... Okay, so with respect to x, it basically means as you derive outside the function, you have to include the inside function the exact way that it is. That is what respect is. But since you derive inside the function, you don't need the outside function. So you only need respect to x when you're deriving outside the function. The power and exponential rules of the chain rule include g of x to the power of n, which is the exponent, equals n multiplied by g of x to the power of n minus 1 multiplied by g prime of x. And the rule for finding the derivative of e to the power of g of x equals g prime of x multiplied by the original function, which is e to the power of g of x. Why are there so many letters in math? Hey, you chose to take this class, so let's do an example problem. Negative 3 over 3x plus 5 squared. There's a denominator. It means you can't do the question. Yes, D&E. Are you kidding me? Come on, you know this. So what is the first step for finding the chain rule? You should find the derivative outside the function. So you should multiply the negative 2 by the negative 3. That's right. Now what is negative 2 times negative 3? Negative 2 times negative 3 is obviously 6. But then since you have to show respect to x, since you're deriving outside the function, you'll end up with 6 multiplied by 3x plus 5. Very good. Is that the only part? Now you must also subtract 1 from the original exponent. Good eye. What is negative 2 minus 1? Negative 3. Are you done? No, since it's dof times dif, you also have to find the derivative of inside the function and multiply that to what you have already got. Very good. Now what's the derivative of 3x plus 5? The derivative of 3x is 3. 3. And 5 is? 5 is a constant, so it's equal to 0. Good. You stop there. There is your answer. Yes! Now here is the second equation. Now, what I'm noticing right now is that there is a square root. What can you do to make that easier to derive? You can make the whole process easier by putting it to the power of 1/2. Good, you can do that. And now you have to the power of 1/2, so you can get rid of this. Now you follow the same rules as you did in the previous equation. 1/2 multiplied by 3x plus e to the power of 8x. And now what goes here? Since you're subtracting 1 from the exponent, 1/2 minus 1 is negative 1/2. Negative 1/2. And now you must also find the derivative of inside, like you did in the previous equation. Derivative of 3x is 3. And then derivative of e to the power of 8x is, using the formula, you figure out that derivative of 8x is 8. And you have to multiply that to the original equation, so it's 8 e to the power of 8x. And there is your answer.
Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof.
This question, example 3, is good for solving the derivative of natural logs. So what you can do here is establish an inside and outside function. For example, the inside function can be 3 cosine x cubed. And then the outside function can be ln of x. So your goal is to derive both equations and find the derivative. So what's the derivative of ln x? That would be 1 over x, because we learned this earlier. Derivative is 1 over x. And what do you substitute for x? Showing respect to x, you have to put 3 cosine cubed x into the denominator. 3 cosine x cubed. And then you must multiply by the derivative of the inside function, in which case is 3 cosine cubed x. What is the derivative of that? The first step you must do is actually the same thing, 9 cosine squared x. That gives you the initial one, but you have to multiply that again with the derivative of cosine x, because that's the inside function of the inside function. Derivative of cosine x is negative sine x. I remember that. Very good. Now you have this equation, 9 cosine squared x multiplied by negative sine x over 3 cosine x cubed. Now what can you do after this? Move on to the next question, because that's the answer. Do you see the 9 and the 3? Oh, you can simplify. There you go. So it will be 3 cosine squared x multiplied by negative sine x over cosine x cubed. Are we done? Yes.
Wrong.
You have to focus, yeah. What do you see here? Okay, geez, I see cosine squared x over cosine cubed x. And that is equivalent to, that would leave you with 1 over cosine x. Right, 1 over cosine x. And now we should rewrite the equation over here. What is 3 times 1? That is simply 3. And then you have negative sine x. So you can just put negative 3 sine x all over this cosine x here. And that is your answer. Phew, this is so much learning. Do you hate me? Yes. Moving on. Now here's a question that's a little bit challenging, but I think you'll be able to do it. I highly doubt that. Go ahead. Can it with that attitude. Now what do you see as the outside function here? Negative sine x. And the inside function? This one's kind of big. It's e to the power of 2x multiplied by 4x minus x squared squared. Now this question has layers, which is why some people get wrong answers with it. But it's really all just simple math once we go through it. Now what's the derivative of negative sine x with respect to x? Negative cosine e to the power of 2x multiplied by 4x minus x squared squared. And now to derive the inside function, we have to use... Come on, you know this. Product rule. Product rule, that's right. Product rule states keep derive plus derive keep. So for this inside function, you must keep e to x and then multiply that by the derivative of this thing, which is, well, the derivative of the outside function would be 2 multiplied by 4x minus x squared. 2, 4x minus x squared to the power of 1, so it stays the same. And now the inside derivative is 4 minus 2x. Very good, which is 4 minus 2x. And now you do the second part of the equation, which is derive and keep. Right, and the derivative of e to the power of 2x is, as per the formula, it's the derivative of 2x multiplied by the equation itself. So it's 2 multiplied by e to the power of 2x. And you keep this function at the end, right? Yeah. And that whole thing is your answer. Oh my god, that's a lot for an answer. Were you thinking when you made this question? Not really. Let me tell you a common misconception about the chain rule. Derivative of f of g of x is not f prime of g prime of x. And it is not f prime of x multiplied by g prime of x. Got it? Understood. Here's your last example. Now derivative of 2x obviously is 2. And now since there's 6y squared multiplied by x, you have to use the product rule again. How can you use the product rule with a y? This is known as the concept of implicit differentiation. Now as you derive 6y squared, keep, so it's plus 6y squared. And then derivative of x is obviously 1, so you don't need to put anything else for that. And now plus derivative of this. What is the derivative of 6y squared? 12y, right?
What?
You're missing something. Oh yeah, the dy over dx because you're deriving y. There it is, dy over dx. And now, that is needed every time, and I mean every time, you derive with y. And since you keep with x, you put x here. And now you have minus 8y cubed. And now when you derive that, you get 3 times negative 8, which is negative 24, y squared, and then again dy over dx equals derivative of y? Just 1 dy over dx? Yes, just 1 dy over dx. And now, the basic way to solve this is to solve it algebraically. You have to get all of dy over dx is on one side and then solve for dy over dx. So it's like basic algebra, right? Yes, it is just like basic algebra. Finally, something I understand. So here's how you can do that. You see there's already a dy over dx on the right side, so you can keep these two on the left side since they do not have dy over dx. 2 plus 6y squared equals, and now you have to distribute this to that side and this to that side because they both have dy over dx. Now minus this would be negative 12xy dy over dx. And then it says minus 24y squared dy over dx, so you have to plus that, plus 24y squared dy over dx, and then you already have dy over dx there, so you have to just add 1 to that, dy over dx. So now you can just factor out and get dy over dx by itself. Right again, you gotta factor it. So now you find out that 2 plus 6y squared equals this, negative 12xy plus 24y squared, and then this is just an invisible 1, plus 1 multiplied by dy over dx. And the way to get dy over dx by itself is to simply place this in the denominator of the left function. So you'll end up with dy over dx equals 2 plus 6y squared over negative 12xy plus 24y squared plus 1. And that is your answer. Ooh, I'm a mathematician. Oh my god, it's him, the valedictorian. How did I get here? The way I got here was by learning the chain rule. People said it couldn't be done. People said I would never make it. But guess where I'm standing? So I must tell you guys this as I leave you. Learn the chain rule. Thank you.